We've got such a, I guess it's a healthy fear of COVID because it's such a, it's a really insidious type virus. But in this case, that's good news that the disease, COVID, not the coronavirus itself, but the disease is something that maybe we can handle with a good antibody response. And we didn't know that.
I think if we have a good vaccine that prevents illness, it will be fantastic. And again, you know, the results from yesterday, 94 clinical events, of which 85 occurred in the placebo and 9 occurred in the vaccine arm, are simply outstanding. That gives you a 90.4% efficacy. That is really outstanding. And again, we need to see more of the data. We haven't really seen the data, but they may also be protection from infection. We don't know that.
But we'll see the other delivery system, the Adno. There's a couple of companies working on an, that is one of the vectors, an adenovirus vector, that has been shown sometimes to stimulate its own immune response, which might be helpful too. Do you think these will be just as effective? Or it seems cleaner and more elegant to just put a little snip of messenger RNA in there to make the spike protein. But do you think they'll all be equally effective?
You know, that's why we do research, because we have to get the answer to that. But as Dr. Fauci has said, you know, we're in this game. COVID is such a major problem that not only we need to do, you know, we need several shots at goal. We need several of those shots to be goals. In other words, having just one vaccine is not going to cut it. We're probably going to need 2 or 3 different vaccines in order to vaccinate, you know, the billions of people around the world that are going to need to be vaccinated. So in a way, I want all the vaccines to be effective. Yeah. The issue is going to be if one is 90% and the other one is 70%, what are we going to do?
But is it easier to make the messenger RNA vaccine than the Adno vaccine? But we need, you know, it's going to be hard to make enough of this stuff. What's the easiest to make, the quickest?
I think the mRNA vaccine is a pretty well-developed technology. The issue with this is not going to be so much doing the vaccine as it is the distribution of vaccines. For example, the Pfizer vaccine needs deep freezing. It needs to be at minus 80 degrees. I mean, that is really very, very cold. So transportation, the vaccine cold chain necessary to move this vaccine around, and also the fact that you're going to need 2 doses. So 2 doses, cold chain. Ideally, I would like a vaccine that is 1 dose and doesn't require refrigeration. That's the J&J vaccine.
Hey, doctor, 2 quick questions. One is, what do you really need for herd immunity to snuff this virus out? What percentage of the population really has to take the vaccine and or actually gotten the virus?
We're going to need to have about, if the vaccine is truly 90% efficacious, we're probably going to need about 60% of the population vaccinated in order to get to a level of immunity enough to begin to talk about herd immunity.
And then the second question is, there are these reports out of Denmark around a new strain of COVID with these minks. I don't know if you've read about this. How concerned are you about a new strain and what that does to the possibility of having to create new vaccines?
Well, I think this is going to be a little bit like influenza, in which we may need to be modifying the vaccine as years evolve. But so far, the strains that we've seen, the mutations we've seen in COVID and SARS-CoV are not sufficient to make us change a vaccine. They're simply, as I tell people, imagine that you are, you know, changing the painting on your front door, but the lock is the same. As long as the lock remains the same, and that's where the spike protein, that's where the antibody is working against the vaccine, it should not have to change the vaccine that much.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.